Martin, less than 48 hours until the municipal election, and the City of Toronto has voided another school trustee race.
Anybody with a pulse and a political agenda can go to City Hall and say, I want to run.
The city says the candidates are ineligible to hold office. Concerned parents weigh in.
For the freedom, for the powerless women of Iran to be standing and supporting of them.
Iranian Canadians join in a global day of action. We'll take you to rallies in Toronto and beyond.
I hope to achieve that I can finally skate and I can learn how to play hockey.
Helping young students on and off the ice, the Hockey Heroes Jane and Finch program is back to in-person fun after going virtual during the pandemic.
This is CBC Saturday News.
Hello, thanks for joining us. We'll get to those stories in a moment, but we begin with a police investigation at Billy Bishop Airport. Here's what we've learned so far in a tweet. Police say they've closed and evacuated the airport after a suspicious package was found. This happened around 4 o'clock. Earlier today, Billy Bishop Airport alerted the public that a training exercise was being conducted between 10 and 2. Now, police have not said if these incidents are related. Here's a look at that tweet. There are a number of closures in the area. Police asking the public to stay away. We've reached out to Toronto Police and paramedics. We'll bring you more details as we learn them. Well, the municipal election less than 48 hours away. For the second time this week, though, the City of Toronto has voided a race for a school trustee. Let's bring in Meg Roberts to help us try to understand this one. Hey, Meg.
Yes, the election is Monday. The City of Toronto is canceling some French school board trustee elections as it's being discovered some candidates don't have the French qualifications, which includes concerns about the candidates' ability to speak French. Now, earlier this week, one of the candidates running in the French public school election in Ward 3 was found ineligible because he was not a French language rights holder, as required by the Education Act. It was parents in that ward that initially started asking questions about the candidate, and now they're pointing those questions at the city.
Anybody with a pulse and a political agenda can go to City Hall and say, I want to run, and no questions asked. School boards probably need to communicate clearly with the municipalities and say, these are the prerequisites to run for council, to run for trustee for our boards. And then somebody at the city needs to be checking that.
The candidate that was deemed ineligible told CBC he would not have applied if he had known. Now, to run for the French school board trustee position, candidates need to have French as a language first learned, or have attended a French language school in Canada, or have a child who attended or are attending. When someone runs for office, they must sign an acknowledgement of qualifications confirming they are qualified to be elected.
And Meg, we understand this isn't the only ward facing this kind of situation.
Well, just today, Toronto's elections office canceling another school board election for Ward 4 in the French Catholic school system. 2 out of the 3 candidates running have also been deemed not eligible to hold office. Now, if you're a voter in these wards, you will notice those candidates will still be on the ballot during Election Day, as the ballots have already been printed. So you will be instructed not to mark the ballot. The city says information about a by-election will be made as soon as possible. So far, a date has not been set. CBC News has reached out to the city to better understand the vetting process for candidates and why candidates have been deemed ineligible so last minute. Shannon.
Thanks, Meg. Still a lot of questions on this one. We have more on our website as well. Thanks. Reaction continues to pour in after the unexpected death of Toronto City Councilor Cynthia Li. She died in hospital yesterday. John Tory, who supported her bid for re-election, commenting today.
She was a person I've known for decades, for 20 years at least. And she was a very accomplished professional in the real estate business, but also just a very warm, gracious, positive person to deal with as a city councillor. You know, in these days of very divided politics and very polarized politics, she was a total breath of fresh air.
Flags at City Hall lowered to half-mast in memory of Li. She had been on City Council for 4 years. Now 3 other candidates are running in Scarborough North, so Monday's election will still take place, and Li's name will remain on the ballot. City officials say any votes cast for her will be invalid. They say notices will be put up to inform residents of her death. In other news tonight, a man is dead after a shooting early this morning in downtown Toronto. It happened near Queen and Augusta just before 1 a.m. Police say when they arrived, a man was found with gunshot wounds. He was pronounced dead. Witnesses say multiple shots were fired and bullet holes and damage could be seen in a nearby Wendy's there. No suspect information has been released. Meantime, Peel police asking for help after a hit and run where a 19-year-old woman died. The collision happened in Mississauga on October 13th around 5:30 in the morning. The woman was crossing the road near Tompkin and Britannia when she was struck and killed. Police say the driver fled. They're looking for a light gray SUV. They say it is an older model of a GMC Envoy. Anyone with information or dash cam footage is asked to call police. A first of its kind this weekend, a mental health conference centered on the lived experiences of Black identifying Canadians. Delia Ashry takes us there.
Dozens of people attended the Blacker the Berry mental health conference, centering the lived experiences of members of the African diaspora and Black identifying Canadians.
Mental health is a long-standing taboo within the Black community.
Joseph Smith is one of the conference organizers.
After everything we saw from 2020 onwards around anti-Black racism across North America and the world, this is an event to get us out of our silos and bring us into a space where we can maybe openly have a dialogue.
According to a survey by the Mental Health Commission, almost 40% of Black Canadians with mental health issues used mental health services between 2001 and 2014, compared to 50% of white Canadians.
The healthcare system, a lot of people say the healthcare system is to Black women what cops are to Black men. That's how dangerous it could potentially be for us.
Talk show host Tracy Moore was one of several panelists at the conference, discussing the stigma surrounding mental health and navigating the harsh realities of interpersonal, internalized, and structural racism.
Ever since when I was a television reporter, we would cover violence in the Black community. We would cover poverty. We never covered it from a mental health angle, and we should have been this whole time.
Organizers and panelists at today's event are exploring the importance of different mental health avenues, like meditation workshops and even art therapy. This art therapist ran a clay workshop on Saturday afternoon.
I'm creating this, I'm shaping it, but it's also shaping me. And so art really has that metaphorical sort of experience to it, which is a really nice way of, connecting to words that maybe we wouldn't find words for.
National Football League veteran Doug Middleton was one of the panelists.
As athletes, there's been a tremendous stigma that we're, extremely strong, but, resilient people. But at the same time, we feel pain and we feel harm just like anybody else does.
Pain his mom never wanted him to feel.
My children, we talk about things and work things out. And so it's very important as African American, as Black, that we not get rid of the stereotype of just talk of hiding things, but it's very important to talk about things and help this generation develop.
Organizers tell me proceeds from the mental health conference, the Blacker the Berry, will be going towards free therapy for the youth in the Black community. Delia Ashry, CBC News, Toronto.
Sophia is here with our first look at the forecast. What a beautiful day it was out there, wasn't it?
It felt more like July than nearing the end of October, didn't it? If only we could have this for Halloween. That would be the thing. Friday was beautiful too, Shannon. We got 17, 18 degrees. It's this warm southerly flow in over top of us, as opposed to that trough we had for about 10 odd days, which was a different story. We will eventually have a fall from grace, but until then, let's talk about the good news. Saturday, today, Pearson overshot its high. We reached 21 degrees, so that's higher than that forecast high, and we will do it again on Sunday as well. In fact, if you're having trouble finding a weather story or an active weather story in all this, look no farther than what this past week looked like. For some of you up in cottage country, north of the Georgian and the Huron shores, there was sizable shoveling snow already, folks, and that was mid-October. We are far from that now, with plenty of sunshine to spare, not only for Sunday, but Monday and Tuesday as well. The most active weather we'll really have is just a little bit of cloud cover in on Sunday, especially in eastern Ontario from a system coming up from New England. Until then, really enjoy this late season surprise. Monday is more of the same, but we eventually do have that fall from grace coming up in the long range. I'll tell you about when this track of upper double digits ends with some active fall weather next week, Shannon.
Okay, soak it up. Thanks, Sophia.
While you can.
Dozens of education workers rallied outside the Ontario PC Convention today after contract talks broke down earlier this week. Among those protesting are developmental support workers. They say their skills differ from teachers and are essential for students.
Without us being there, a school will not function. Their students will not be able to sit in a classroom socializing and interacting with peers of their age level and grade level.
I actually at one point was working 3 jobs. I'd go sometimes like 30, 40 days without a day off until I finally was so burnt out.
The parties are set to return to the table November 1st. CUPE represents about 55,000 education workers. They'll be in a legal strike position by November 3rd. Once again, an overwhelming show of support for the people of Iran. Thousands taking part in a global day of action. Greg Ross is at a rally in downtown Toronto.
It was another massive turnout, this time in downtown Toronto, as thousands gathered to support the protests in Iran.
We have to support the people of the Iran, the women of the Iran. We are standing next with them.
Widespread protests against the regime of the Islamic Republic started in Iran last month after a young woman died in police custody. Mahsa Amini allegedly broke the country's mandatory hijab laws. Today, some 80,000 people took to the streets of Berlin in a solidarity protest. There were others back here in Canada as well, including Montreal, Halifax, Charlottetown, and Winnipeg.
We want the government of the Canada to put the IRGC on the list of the terrorist organization.
That's the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, a branch of Iran's armed forces, formed after the Iranian Revolution and dedicated to defending the Islamic Republic. This woman says she was inspired to show her support after seeing other protests around the world.
We sincerely believe there is something is happening, and we want to be part of it.
Another woman told us she wanted to show support for the Iranians who have been arrested for protesting there.
They are activists, they are political activists. That's why they are in the jail.
This man has tattooed Mahsa Amini's name on his arm, along with the names of others who have died in Iran fighting for basic human rights.
And I don't want to forget the amount of anger and rage when I'm 70, 90, 80. I don't want their stories to be forgotten.
The protesters took to the streets of downtown Toronto, marching to City Hall while waving Iranian flags, holding signs and chanting messages of freedom.
They believe their message is not only being heard by the people of Iran, but also by the government there.
No matter how long it's going to take, we are standing with the women. We are standing for the kids. We are standing for the freedom. Woman, life, freedom. That's why we are standing.
More demonstrations are already being planned for next weekend in cities around the world as people show their support for the protesters in Iran and call out the brutal crackdown by the Iranian regime. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. People across Ontario head to the polls on Monday in municipal elections. It can often be a time of reflection and new hope. We had a chance to speak with a member of the Toronto Youth Cabinet about the most pressing issues facing young people this campaign.
We are the City of Toronto's official advisory board. We consist of several different working groups, all focused on a number of different topics within the city, ranging from transit to housing to urban health to education to anything of the sorts, anything that young people are passionate about, we represent them. Our work, we generally tend to cover all of the GTA, which includes about 600,000 young people that currently reside within our borders. What we do is we bring together all the issues that young people are passionate about, and we put it together and advocate that towards the city and sometimes towards the province in Ontario.
When you guys are out talking to people, what would you say is one of the most pressing issues facing young people today?
There's a wide variety of issues that people are facing all across the city. For us, we've really heard a lot about people talking about how the mental health has been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, what supports there are to address that. We're hearing a lot about gun violence and how that is affecting young people going to school and having to witness all these different events take place in their own neighborhoods where they generally end up don't feeling very safe. We're hearing issues on transit, not being able to go to school or go to work on time and having to plan hours in advance to make sure that they get there on time and they get to those opportunities that are supposed to help them advance in their lives and in their careers. Issues relating equity, access to resources, whether that be menstrual products, education tools, supports and services that young people need to in order to grow and to thrive and to learn and to advance in their lives in whatever paths that they choose to pursue.
Right. I know that you guys are very passionate about getting young people to vote, and so you're making efforts this election to make that easier?
Yeah, so this election we've managed to secure 4 voting sites that will be entirely run by young people. Young people will be the only people allowed to vote there, and it's spread out across the city so that we can reach as many young voters as possible who are able to vote in this election. For many people, it is their first time voting, so being able to go to a place where it's secure, it's safe, they can go there without fear of judgment or repercussions for their choices, that's what we were passionate about and what we moved to make happen in this year's election.
If you had a message for the people, you know, Monday's election day, Tuesday people are in their new roles, what would you want people at Toronto City Hall to keep in mind?
I would say to all the incoming councillors and trustees that are coming to the boards is that this is not a position for you to pursue your career and your ambitions. You are talking about real families, real people, real children, real adults, real young people that are going to be affected by the policies that you put into place. This is not a place for you to network. This is not a place for you to rise in the political sphere. This is a place for you to make effective change. We do not want career politicians in power. We want politicians in power that care about the people and that put people first and not their own ambitions first.
You can see more of my conversation with Camisa on Our Toronto. This week it's a special episode looking at the big issues this election. You can find Our Toronto on CBC television tomorrow at noon or Monday morning at 11 a.m. After going virtual during the pandemic, Hockey Heroes is back on ice. Katie Atuberry from CBC Toronto's Jane and Finch Community Bureau has more on the program that teaches kids how to skate and so much more.
Trying something new isn't always easy.
I hope to achieve that I could finally skate and I could learn how to play hockey.
9-year-old Aseda Nemo is one of the new participants in the Hockey Heroes program, an initiative started to help students both on and off the ice, providing access to free equipment, skating lessons, mentorship, and school support.
We're celebrating might be our 10th anniversary here in the Jane and Finch area of the program, and we've got 41 excited boys and girls to be on the ice, for some of them for the first time.
And do you think you know how to skate now?
I'm pretty rusty.
Kadir Dell is returning to the program for the first time since 2020.
But now I'm learning how to skate. There's a girl teaching me how to skate, and every time I move, I fall on my back.
What about now?
Now, I don't fall anymore.
The program is held at Canlan's Ice Park with the help from community volunteers, including York women's hockey players.
There's definitely a need for kids to get a chance to play the game. And there's so many barriers with hockey, relevant to cost, transportation, registration fees, you can go on and on. So I thought that if we can put together a program and partner up with some great agencies, then we'd be able to get kids on the ice and off the street.
Students from 4 schools have taken part in the Heroes program, and this year, for the first time, Fargo Public School has been added where Aseda attends.
It means a lot to me. I feel like an actual hero.
Katie Atuberry, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back, Alessia Cara, Tory Lanez, Director X. What do all those superstars have in common? They grew up in Brampton.
Love on yourself.
Yeah, I love that everyone is starting to claim Brampton more, and it's because of the different people you see in different places doing things now. That's why people are proud of it now, and I also want to be, one of the reasons people would be proud to be from Brampton.
Yeah, and you're showing you don't have to leave, go to the States or anything like that. You can do it here.
You can do it here. You can do a lot of things here. I feel like if you have your city behind you, you can go really far.
That Zen Soul Juno-nominated artist and proud Bramptonian last night saw a celebration of the city's art scene with the relaunch of the Brampton Arts organization. One of the ambassadors is Julian Christian Lutz, professionally known as Director X.
I think it's important that cities take notice and put some attention on the art in their city, the artist community in the city, and then the bigger Toronto level, you know. Imagine all these kids from all these different cities and all these different places that had been really kind of encouraged and given some resources and invested in, and then coming together and what that does for the bigger picture, it's great. So I'm very proud to be ambassador for these guys.
Yeah, and to show that it is a viable career option, like you were saying, it's not just a hobby, it can really be an amazing path for a young person.
Exactly. I mean, and that's a big message I'm always pushing. Growing up, it was, yeah, nice hobby. Then when you get a real job, you'll be, and for people to understand, no, the arts there's a real job in the arts for you. You'll find your place.
The iconic filmmaker recently started an organization bringing meditation to communities across the GTA that have experienced gun violence. And Sophia, this is really cool. Yeah, we're going to have much more on that story coming up in the next few weeks on CBC.
Okay, I look forward to your interview, Shannon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, tell us about the forecast here.
Well, today, if you were like me, you would have been hanging out with flip-flops and shorts and t-shirts and the bikes and the scooters. What an awesome day, and more of the good stuff just keeps on coming for the next few days. Lucky number 17 in Toronto, and for many, you will see the elusive 20s in the days to come. Got to talk about the lake breeze effect because it's back in place. Anywhere near the lake shores will be a few degrees cooler, but to the west and to the north, you will certainly hit that 20-degree mark, and then some. Even the overnight temperatures will hit into the double digits for some over the next couple days. Monday is more of the same. A little bit of rain, though, and fog will move into the early morning period up to the north, but then the lucky number 17 for 4 days in a row with some double-digit overnight lows that are actually where our daytime high should be this time of year. So enjoy the stretch while you can. We fall back down to seasonal midweek next week, but for some areas to the west and to the north, you'll hit that 20-degree mark for a few days and maybe have to take the shorts, t-shirts, and flip-flops out of the storage container, Shannon. Yeah,
Double digits.
Awesome stretch. Sunbathing weather right across the board.
Can you imagine in October?
It could be worse. We could be shoveling right now. In many years, we have been this time of year.
Yes, we'll take the sunshine and the double digits. Thanks, Sophia.
Enjoy.
That's our show for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're back here with you tomorrow night at 11 o'clock. We'll see you then.